So the work starts slowing down. You know, I've been trying to stop drinking everywhere you go. It's like, Budgie, what do you want? Never won. All over the shop, and you're smashed, and you know you're talking crap. People are gonna look at you like.
We bring you an international star who has collaborated with Craig David, Britney Spears, Missy Elliott, P. Diddy, Mary J. Blige, Looney Tunes, Timberland, and more. The one and only Juggy D.
But in the studio was Rob, Rishi, and as we know him now, Jay. All in the studio, starts playing this record. Yeah, man, this is a vibe. You know, his hook comes on. I just want to dance with you. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, I've heard it a few times, and I went, they all just stopped and went, what was that?
Juggy D, the inspiration, took Timberland shopping down Southall Broadway to ABC Music Store in his star years.
What's the difference between performing here in the UK and in India?
India is different. Bigger production, bigger show, bigger crowds, bigger.
How did the crowd react to you differently in terms of the UK crowd and the Indian crowd?
Over in India, their level of respect for me as an artist there is like heaven and earth.
Wow.
Here, people, they've got one or two songs. Sometimes they won't even come and say hello to you. So, you know, I'm blessed. I'm happy. You know, but money's not everything. You know, I've blown a lot of money over the years.
Welcome back to Take a Seat. This is the #1 channel for mindset and motivation. I came from McDonald's to making it to millions, but I get it. Business might not be your thing, which is why I started this podcast. I bring on loads of celebrities, sports stars, music artists, because maybe their journey might resonate with you. And today's no different. We've brought a pioneering music artist on. He's been on our screens for over 2 decades. He started with Jay Sean and Rishi Rich and done many different remixes with Craig David. He's also been on the Bollywood scenes as well with Humtum. So please welcome Juggy D.
What's happening, man?
What's
How you
happening,
doing?
bro?
Sean, very well. Thank you for having me.
Looking very cool, bro.
Thank you. It's finally we get some good weather in the UK. So
Yes.
I thought I'd wear my 2-piece today. But yeah, it's good to be here, man. Thanks for asking me to come on and share my experience of life, and hopefully, yeah, like you said, hopefully it can resonate with some people and maybe give them some inspiration along their journey.
Definitely, because you definitely inspire me. I
Thank you.
remember back in 2004 when I'm driving down in my little KA, I'm blasting your tunes out, bro.
Wicked, man. Thank you.
Even my Gora friends, bro, they
Wicked,
knew your song
wicked.
Sonia. Like,
Oh.
Sonia, ni Sonia.
Do you know what? It's mad. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. This Sonia has been 20 years now since that album came out.
Come on.
And you know, exactly 2 decades we're celebrating this year. And you know, I still remember going back, Channel U, MTV.
Yes.
They were supporting our music, man, and mainstream radio was playing our stuff. And I remember, you know, Channel U, I don't know if you remember Channel U. It's going back, it's probably a little bit before your time, but Channel U, they used to have, you could text in, and the text would come at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
And I used to watch it, and I used to be looking at it, and sometimes he'd say, yeah, this Juggy guy, I don't know what he's saying, but I'm loving it, man. And, you know, so you're right. It did resonate with non-Indians and Gore,
100.
white people and black people. And we got a lot of love from them, man. And still do.
Yeah, and yeah, I would definitely, you know, resonate with all of that because one of my best friends was a Gora. White guy.
Yep.
And another one was like a European who lived on the road. And I used to have this little KA with a little hatchback.
Yeah.
The biggest subwoofer in there.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is it changed your whole song because it picked up on all of your beats.
Yeah.
And you know that subwoofer beat of Sonia, everyone was just like, I need that song.
Oh,
even though
wicked.
they couldn't understand what you were saying, that beat, the flow of it, it just changed it, bro.
Wicked, man.
Who composed that beat?
That was so that was produced by Mental, who is cousin, Rishi Rich's cousin, and a big producer in his own right. You know, he was massive in Tanzania and Africa.
Okay.
Made some mad music out there. Still does some stuff now, but he heavily produced my first album, man. So yeah, big hats off to him. And you know, I'm still getting booked. I'm still getting booked today off that same album. In the whole look, I started in 2002, and I've been in the music industry for 22 years now, and I've only done 2 studio albums. On my second album, I don't actually even perform any other songs off it.
Wow.
I only perform mainly off the first album, then the other singles that I've done, and the Bollywood tracks that I've done. Unfortunately, phone's still going.
Yeah.
So.
How does it work as a music artist in terms of producing your sort of music? Because a lot of stars, they'll have that one big hit and then they're known for that one big hit. And when
Yeah.
they come on a show, you're all waiting for that one big hit.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you keep like reinventing yourself and making sure, like not making sure, but how do you keep making the rest of your music just as relevant or trying to find the next chart topper?
I don't know, man. I guess you know, like they say in our industry, you're only as good as your last record. You know, so you've got to work hard on trying to, you know, just put out good music. Unfortunately, when we first started out, every record we put out was a vibe. You know, and people enjoyed it. So I can, you know, I've got a catalog of songs where I know, okay, these are the songs that I'm going to play in my set, you know, and they will take you down memory lane. You know, nostalgic songs, Dance With You, Sonia, Billo, Humdum, Nejina, you know, and the list goes on. Right. And then I will put in like cover tracks. I'll do covers as well. And that, like, here, I do like a 40-minute set, 45-minute set if I'm doing a wedding or something. But in India, I've got to do 90 minutes.
Wow.
So minimum showtime is 90-minute set. So that's a lot of material you have to have, you know, and that has got to be predominantly your own. Otherwise, they wouldn't book you, right? Because they want that artist, they want the international singer, and blah blah blah. But you know, it's I just got, I guess I just got to be very real and say, you know, the people I've worked with have been great. You know, Rishi, Mentor, and everybody else along the way. We've put some really good music together, and it's still, you know, still sounding fresh now, man. So
100.
very blessed, very blessed.
I was listening to it all this morning, bro.
Oh, wicked, man, wicked.
How do you stay fit? Like in terms of 90-minute set, that's a workout, bro.
It is. So I hate, unfortunately for me, I hate cardio, right? In the gym. Like I hate being on a treadmill. I love cycling. I can cycle for hours, right? You put me on a bike and I'll cycle for hours. But that's my cardio. So when I'd gone like now, I had a gig Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday, right?
Wow.
So that's
3
45
days.
minutes, singing, dancing. So it's like a HIIT workout.
Yeah.
So I've done like over 2 hours of cardio. I don't need to do cardio in the gym now. You know, I can just make sure I focus on my food and go to the gym to just pump some iron, you know, keep the muscles tight. But I've been out of the gym for a bit. I've just been doing some other stuff. But generally, when I'm on point, it's like if I put my blinkers on and I go in, I'm very all or nothing, right? So when I'm on it hard. So I'm gearing up to get ripped and get the 6-pack back again, because I've had it before and I've been there and I've done it and I've seen your picture as well. You've been there as well, so you know what it's like, right? So you can get there, and then sometimes you fall off a bit and you think, sugar man, I need to get back out there. You know how to do it, but you just can't find the time all the time, or you can't get consistent enough because you've got other things going on. And I think that's the hardest part. For me, I've given up a lot of stuff over the last few years. You know, I used to drink, I don't drink anymore. I used to smoke, I don't smoke anymore. I used to eat meat, I'm now pescatarian. You know, so I've made a lot of changes. So I'm not too hard on myself either. Like, I'm not thinking, right, oh, I haven't got my 6-pack yet. But what have you got? What have you achieved? Let's think about the things that we have got. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes now I'm kind of navigating into another part of this, you know, this journey, if you want to call it, or this podcast, where how do you go from, you know, being that party rock star person to getting to now being a sober rock star? You know, that's a journey in itself, you know, but that's all about your mindset, you know, and kind of training it in a way to benefit you.
Yeah. Do you think the entertainment industry has this like behind the scenes of like drugs, or this socializing of you have to have a drink at an after party, or like does it have that sort of stigma behind it as well? So do you have that peer pressure, shall I say, you know?
I don't know if it's I wouldn't call it peer pressure. I just think it just comes with the industry. You know, it's a social thing. You know, being in the music world, everyone seems to drink. being in, you know,